These are really important elections, and I'll be speaking much more obviously about the European side maybe than the local, because I think the local people understand what's going on. Europe, not so often. Firstly, the European Parliament is involved in co-decision. This may be a phrase you've heard, some of you may even understand it, but what it means is that we co-decide. We are decision makers with Council, with the representatives of national government. And if the Parliament says no on something, it doesn't happen. It goes off, they try again, try something else, but by and large it doesn't happen. So we are co-deciders on fisheries policy, helping to end the discards ban, on financial regulation, bankers' bonuses. The caps on bankers' bonuses was an amendment that came in from the Greens that we managed to negotiate through. On asylum legislation, co-deciders. The UK opts out on most things, but we think it should opt in, but they're there. The free movement rules, we are co-deciders. So who is sitting at the negotiating table? Or whose finger is there to push the button in votes? We have an electronic system. We don't have to get up and walk around the chairs to come back again. We have an electronic system. It's a really big difference. Whether it's Nigel Farage, although let's be honest, if it's in committees that doesn't matter, but whether it's Nigel Farage or whether it's Jean Lambert. There is a big difference. So the elections matter because whose finger is actually voting, who is negotiating, makes a difference. They're important elections because they're about, at the moment, more than ever about the direction of the European Union. It's why we've got candidates for the European Green Party lead faces in these elections, in order to try and bring ourselves into those big international debates on the future. And you can still vote for the lead candidates for the European Green Party up until the 28th. So it's not only about the European Parliament, it's national government too, but the issues matter. So the Greens matter. For us, let's start with climate change. The Commission has just announced its proposals for the European Union strategy up to the year 2030. The next Parliament is going to matter because the number of Greens will matter. We've got the Paris conference in 2015, which is supposed to be putting in place the next stage, what follows Kyoto, on climate change. So if you haven't got Greens in the European Parliament pushing the European Union for something more ambitious, you can imagine where things are going to fritter to. We currently, at the European level and in some member states as well, have the dash for shale gas. We've got the potential resurgence of nuclear power, Hinkley C. Thank you very much, Tory and Labour parties in the UK, for that. Now, Poland is seeing shale gas as energy liberalisation. It means they're no longer bound to Russia, for their future. But for others, it's because governments feel comfortable with big energy companies. They know what it's about. So there is a struggle there at the European level about our energy future. And so Europe needs more Greens. It's about whether the European Union is going to be more open or more closed. The sort of motto, as it were, of the European Union is unity in diversity, not division in diversity. And London, well, we're a mega diverse city. We understand this. And today in London we've got a visit from Gabor Vona, who is the leader of Hungary's Jobbik party. And for those who don't know, Jobbik is racist, anti-Semitic, anti-Roma. There's a demo at 12:30 at Holborn for those that are looking for something different to do at lunchtime. And it links with Golden Dawn, it links with the BNP. Nick Griffin sees that they have a lot in common, which is, something we don't. And be aware, if you see at any point reports that I am meeting with the BNP, be aware that is the Bangladeshi National Party. Please understand that. And there are predictions that these racist, anti-Semitic, anti-Roma parties will do well in the next European elections. So, Greens, we want a Europe where people are treated with respect, with dignity, so we cannot let those sort of parties gain ground. I happen to think that Greens are the antidote to such parties, so I think that Europe needs more Greens. On the economics, well, we don't like waste, we don't like profligacy, But there's a difference between prudence and whatever happened to that idea, Gordon Brown, and trying to rework your budget when it's about to fall off a fiscal cliff, and the terrible consequences that that can have, and austerity, particularly when that austerity is being used to mask the ideological choices you've made anyway. And yes, that is a criticism of Cameron and the British Conservatives, and Labour following along meekly behind, it seems to me. And we've had horrendous austerity measures imposed on certain EU countries, which are really stripping away social Europe. And in the European Parliament, Greens have been in the front line of the battle to ensure that measures taken to stabilise economies must take account of their effect on people's everyday lives. They mustn't undermine those core labour and social standards. And we're making some progress on that. We can't let that slip away. And that, again, is why Europe needs more Greens. Now, on the national level, it seems to me that we certainly don't need more members of the European Parliament who are going to defend the financial city of London. They've got enough. They've got about 3 parties there, it seems to me, at the moment. Parties that are going to support fracking and nuclear energy, who are not going to stand up for social Europe, and who will not support equality of treatment, whether that's for those in London, UK, third country nationals, EU nationals. So again, Europe needs more Greens. Now, for our own party, I don't want to depress people. Well, you know, climate change is depressing enough. But I don't want to depress us, but we do have to do everything we can to keep our seats in the European Parliament. If we lose in the South East, that certainly doesn't help Caroline's seat in Brighton, let alone add to it. And it would also make Brighton's Labour councillors very happy, and for me, that is very upsetting. I'm not in politics to make Brighton's Labour councillors happy. Yeah, I mean, I want to be happy, but, you know, that's for me. And if we don't keep our seat in London, well, that's not going to help us be the third party at the next GLA elections, let alone the second, and it's not going to help us add to our seats there. And it's going to be tough in London. I mean, I always say this, and it's always true, I think. You know, we can't take anything for granted. The last election was the last election. This is different. Labour's no longer in government. They need a strong outcome from the Euros to give them a boost towards the general election. Lib Dems will be struggling, and they're going to fight for their seats and their credibility. The Tories will be fighting ahead of next year's general election to stop UKIP winning at their expense. And no one here, I hope, wants UKIP to do well. And the fact that we have local elections at the same time, I think, makes life extra difficult. Labour and Lib Dem activists will come out for local elections when they won't come out to work for the European elections. And that's why we're asking local parties to field as many candidates as possible at the local level to get that synergy across the vote, so that people are going in, if they're going in to vote Green in the Euros, they don't suddenly sort of think, oh, well, there's no Green candidate standing at the local level, I'm voting whatever, and I'll vote the same way across. We've seen from GLA that people quite often vote the same way across, no matter what the system. So that's why, you know, we were trying to maximise the number of candidates that we have to get that crossover going for us. So, you know, Greens, we need candidates. So the elections matter. They matter for the party, of course. You know, we're not in politics to lose elections, although some days it feels like that, but that's not what we're about. It matters for the direction of the European Union. Very, very much matters there. And of course that matters for the peoples whose lives are affected by the decisions that are made at both the local level, the European level. And they matter very much as well, I think, for the planet that we share, given what we know about climate change. So people's involvement and commitment of those working with Greens, members of the Green Party, is absolutely crucial. And this is about shaping, and I'll use the party slogan, and those playing, you know, political bingo, here you go, fill it in. But I mean, these elections really are about shaping our common future and shaping it for our common good.